Amaka was only 17, too young to truly understand love but old enough to face its consequences. She was a struggling girl who hawked bread for her mother after school. Life was already hard, but everything began to change when she met Emeka, her regular customers. He's always smiling anytime he sees her, always calling her fine girl. Slowly, he got her attention, and before her mother would realize it, Amaka became pregnant. She couldn't go to school anymore. Each morning she would sit outside her house, her hands gently resting on her stomach. A life was growing inside her. She wasn't ashamed or had any regrets because she believed it was love. She loved Emeka so much that she was happy to start a family with him despite her mother's warning and harsh words towards her. She visited Emeka and he was happily planning a beautiful home with her. He gave her so much hope that she became convinced that men can be responsible regardless of her father's actions. "You're thinking again," Emeka said, snapping his fingers lightly in front of her face. Amaka blinked and smiled. "I was just imagining." "Imagining what?" "Our baby." Emeka leaned back in his chair, stretching lazily. "Our baby will be fine and better than everyone in this place," he said confidently. Amaka's smile widened. "Do you really mean it?" Emeka turned to her, his eyes soft. "I don't say what I don't mean." Those words, again, they settled deep in her heart, like a promise carved in stone. He started to make plans, big plans, plans that sounded like dreams. "I'll get a better place," he said. "We won't stay here forever. You won't need to hawk again. Our child will go to the best school." Every word felt like light in Amaka's dark world, and she believed him, because believing him was easier than facing reality. At home, things were different. Her mom became cold towards her, silent and broken. Her mother barely spoke to her anymore. No more shared meals, no more "my daughter." Just distance, disappointment, and pain hanging in the air like smoke. One night, Amaka tried to speak. "Mama?" No response. "Mama, I'm sorry." Ngozi didn't even turn. That silence hurt more than shouting ever could. So Amaka stopped trying. Because she had already found somewhere else to belong, she became safer in Emeka's house than her mother, she thought. Exactly 1 week later, Amaka woke up early, excited. Today, she and Emeka were going to plan properly. That's what he had said. "We'll sit down and talk about everything," he promised. She even smiled while tying her wrapper. For the first time in days, she looked at herself in the small cracked mirror. Her eyes were brighter, her face softer. Hope looked good on her. She stepped out quietly. Her mother didn't stop her, didn't ask where she was going, didn't even care. And somehow that hurt. But Amaka left to Emeka's house. As she walked towards his house, her steps were lighter than usual. Her heart beat faster, but not with fear, with excitement. This was the beginning of her new life. She could feel it. But when she reached his compound, she stopped. Something was wrong. The gate was closed, too quiet and still. She walked closer, slowly and carefully. Her heartbeat changed. Not exciting anymore. Something else. Something darker. Then she saw a padlock hanging on the door. She became cold and silent. Amaka blinked, confused. Maybe he stepped out, she thought. Maybe he will come back soon. Yes, that must be it. She sat down outside the compound, waiting. Minutes passed, then an hour, then 2. The sun climbed higher. Sweat ran down her face, but she didn't move. "He'll come," she whispered to herself. "He said he would be here." But Emeka didn't come. Finally, a voice broke her thoughts. "You dey find that guy?" Amaka looked up. It was one of the neighbors, an older man holding a plastic chair. "Yes," she said quickly. "Where is he?" The man scratched his head. "He don't travel." The world stopped. "Travel?" "Yes," the man nodded. "Him travel some days ago, early in the morning. Him carry bag go." Amaka stood up slowly. No, that's not possible." "He didn't tell you?" Her throat tightened.
He was supposed to see me today." The man shrugged. "I don't know anything about that one, but he don't go." Gone. Just like that. No goodbye, no explanation, no warning. Amaka felt something inside her chest crack. A sharp, painful crack. Like something breaking beyond repair. "No," she whispered. Tears filled her eyes instantly. "No, he said. Her voice disappeared. Because the truth was now louder than his promises. He left, just like her father. Her legs weakened. She sank to the ground, right there in front of the locked house, crying. Not softly, not quietly, but deeply. The kind of cry that comes from betrayal, from confusion, from shattered trust. He said he was happy. He said we would be fine. He said... Her voice broke completely. But the house remained silent. The padlock didn't answer. The walls didn't care. Because sometimes, the person you trust the most is the one who teaches you the hardest lesson. After what felt like forever, Amaka stood up, her face swollen, her eyes red, her heart empty. She didn't know where to go, but her legs carried her home. As she entered the compound, her mother was waiting, standing, arms folded, eyes sharp. "You went to meet him?" Ngozi asked coldly. Amaka said nothing. Her silence was enough. "Where is he?" her mother demanded. Amaka's lips trembled. He traveled." Ngozi laughed bitterly, a painful, mocking laugh. "Of course he did, just like your father." Tears rolled down Amaka's cheeks. "Mama, please." But Ngozi raised her hand. "Don't call me that. If I am your mother, you will listen to me." The words cut deeper than anything else. "I warned you. I told you to stop following that boy, but you refused to listen. Men are the same, just like your father." Amaka dropped to her knees. "I didn't know." "You didn't know?" Ngozi snapped. "Or you didn't want to know? I won't have you and that bastard in my house." Silence. Then came the words that would change everything. "You will leave my house. Go and stay with him anywhere he is. You won't bring shame to me." Amaka froze. Her heart stopped. "Mama, I said leave." "No, please, where will I go?" Ngozi's eyes filled with tears, but her voice remained hard. "You should have thought about that before you destroyed your life." Amaka crawled closer. "I'm your daughter." Ngozi turned away. "My daughter died the day she chose a man over her future." That was it. No bag, no clothes, no place, no protection. Amaka stood slowly, her legs shaking, her world collapsing. Then she walked out, into the street, alone. That night, she didn't have anywhere to go. So she sat by the roadside, holding her stomach, crying quietly. People passed. Some looked, some didn't, but no one stopped. Hunger came, cold came, fear came, but sleep didn't come. Because every time she closed her eyes, she saw Emeka, smiling, promising, lying. Days turned into weeks. Amaka started hawking again, but this time, not bread, not water, oranges, because that was what she could afford. Her stomach began to grow, slowly, then noticeably. People talked. They pointed. They judged. "See her? She's too young. She has no shame." Each word pierced her. But she kept moving, because stopping meant starving. Sometimes she would stand under the sun for hours without selling anything. Sometimes she would go to bed without eating. Sometimes she would cry until she had no tears left. But the baby kept growing, and somehow that gave her strength. "I will not die," she whispered one night. "I will not give up." She started doing small jobs, washing clothes, cleaning houses, running errands, anything, everything. Even when her body hurt, even when her back ached, even when her legs felt like they would collapse, she kept going. Because now, she wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting for her child. And deep inside her heart, a new belief began to grow. Not all men are wicked, but trusting the wrong one can cost you everything. The night Amaka almost gave up was the same night her daughter chose to arrive. The sky was dark, not the peaceful kind of dark, but the heavy kind, the kind that feels like something is about to break. Amaka sat outside a small worn-out building where she had been allowed to sleep temporarily. Not inside, just outside, on a wooden bench. Her body trembled. Her hands held her stomach tightly. Sweat covered her face. Her breathing was uneven. "Ah!" She cried out in pain. This was not hunger. This was not exhaustion. This was something deeper, something final. Labor. There was no hospital, no nurse, no mother, no one to hold her hand, just pain and fear.
A woman passing by stopped. "Hey, what is happening to you?" Amaka could barely speak. "My baby." The woman's eyes widened. "Your time has come." She quickly called others. Within minutes, a small group gathered, strangers, but in that moment, they became everything she had. "Bring water, find cloth, help her lie down." Amaka screamed again, louder this time. Her voice echoed through the quiet street. "Push," one of the women shouted. "I can't," Amaka cried. "You can." Tears streamed down her face. Her body shook violently. Every part of her burned. "I don't want to die," she whispered weakly. But something inside her answered back. "You won't. Not today." Another wave of pain hit, stronger, sharper, unforgiving. "Push!" the women shouted again, and this time, Amaka did. The world blurred, the pain peaked, then a cry, a small, fragile, beautiful cry. Everything went silent for a moment. Then one of the women lifted the baby gently. "It's a girl!" Amaka's eyes slowly opened, weak, tired, barely able to move. "A girl," she whispered. The baby cried again, loud, alive, strong. They placed the child in Amaka's arms, and in that moment, everything changed. Amaka stared at her, tiny fingers, soft skin, closed eyes, a life, her life. Tears rolled down Amaka's cheeks, but this time they were not from pain. "I made you," she whispered. For the first time in months, Amaka smiled. "I will call you," she paused, thinking, feeling, choosing, Zoe. Because to her, that child was life, new life, a second chance. And from that moment, Amaka stopped being a victim. She became a mother. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Life did not suddenly become easy, no. If anything, it became harder. Now, she had to carry Zoe on her back while carrying a tray of fruits on her head, under the hot sun from morning till evening. Oranges, sweet oranges. Her voice was no longer shy, no longer soft. It was strong, because now failure was not an option. Sometimes Zoe would cry, and Amaka would stop immediately,
remove her from her back, hold her close. Shh, my baby, I am here. I will never leave you. Words she wished someone had said to her. At night, they slept together on a thin mat. Zoe curled beside her, small, warm, alive. Amaka would stare at her for hours, watching her breathe, listening to her soft sounds. "You saved me," she whispered one night. "If not for you, I don't know where I would be." And it was true, because there were days before Zoe came when Amaka had thought about ending everything. But now, she had a reason to live. Years passed. Amaka grew stronger, not just in body, but in mind. She stopped depending on random daily sales. Instead, she started saving, little by little, coin by coin, until one day she made a decision. She would stop walking the streets. She would build something. A small wooden stand by the roadside. That became her shop. At first, it was nothing special, just a few fruits displayed carefully. But Amaka was different now. She smiled at customers, spoke politely, worked hard, stayed consistent, and slowly, people began to notice. "Buy from that young woman," they would say. "Her fruits are fresh." Her business grew, not fast, but steady, just like her. Zoe grew too, from a tiny baby to a little girl who could walk, talk, laugh. "Mommy!" Zoe would shout, running into her arms. That word, every time, it healed something inside Amaka, because she remembered the day her own mother said, "My daughter died." And even after all these years, that pain never fully left. Sometimes at night, Amaka would sit quietly, looking into the distance, thinking about her mother. Is she okay? Does she miss me? Will she ever forgive me? But she never went back, because shame is a heavy thing to carry, and fear is even heavier. Still, Amaka kept going. By the time she turned 20, her life had changed, not into luxury, not into wealth, but into stability. She had her shop, her child, and her strength, and most importantly, she had learnt. Never depend on promises. Never abandon your future. Never lose yourself for someone who can disappear. One afternoon, as Amaka arranged her fruits neatly on the table, Zoe played nearby, laughing, running, free. Amaka watched her with a soft smile. "My child will not suffer like me," she said quietly. "I will give you everything I didn't have." But life has a way of bringing back the past when you least expect it. Because somewhere, far away, a man who once disappeared was about to return. Not as the same man, but as someone Amaka would not recognize. 3 years, that was how long it had been. 3 long years since Emeka disappeared without a word. 3 years since Amaka cried in front of a locked door. 3 years since she learnt that promises can vanish overnight. And in those same 3 years, Emeka's life had changed completely. The road into the community was no longer the same dusty path it used to be. That morning, it trembled under the weight of something unfamiliar, something powerful, something expensive. A black SUV rolled slowly into the neighborhood, clean, shiny, out of place. People stopped, stared, whispered, "Who be this? Which big man be this?" The car came to a smooth stop. The door opened and a man stepped out, well-dressed, confident, rich. But beneath the clean suit, behind the expensive watch, was a face the community had once known, Emeka. But this was not the same Emeka. This one walked like a man who had conquered something, like someone who had fought battles and won. He removed his sunglasses slowly, looked around. Everything felt smaller, different, but one thing remained the same. Amaka. He took a deep breath. His heart beat faster than it had in years. "I'm back," he whispered. But he didn't know he was too late. The first place he went to was her old house. He stood in front of the compound. Memories rushed back instantly. Her laughter, her shy smile, her voice. He knocked. Once, twice, No answer. He pushed the gate slightly. It creaked open, empty, quiet. A neighbor spotted him. You dey find somebody? Emeka turned quickly. Yes, Amaka and her mother. The woman looked at him carefully. You be who? He hesitated, then said quietly, someone that knows her. The woman sighed. You are late. Something in his chest tightened. What do you mean? The woman folded her arms. That girl no dey here again. His heart dropped. Where is she? The woman shook her head. I no know. After she carry belle, her mama drive her comot. Emeka stepped back, like the ground had shifted. What? She suffer well, the woman continued. Nobody see her again for here. Silence. Then slowly, very slowly, Emeka asked, her mother. The woman's face changed, softer, sad. She don't die. Those words hit like thunder. Emeka froze. His mind went blank. Dead? She died some months ago, the woman added. Emeka swallowed hard. Everything he had planned, everything he had imagined, gone. Just like that. He turned away slowly, his steps no longer confident, no longer proud. For the first time since he returned, he felt fear. Where was Amaka? Was she alive? Did she hate him? Did she survive? Questions flooded his mind, and for days he searched. Every street, every corner, every place he remembered Amaka would be. But Amaka was nowhere. Until one afternoon, life decided to bring them together. Not gently, but violently. The sun was hot, the street busy, cars moving carelessly, voices loud. At her small roadside fruit shop, Amaka arranged her oranges carefully, her movements calm, her face focused. Zoe played nearby, running, laughing, free. Mommy, look at me, Zoe shouted, spinning around. Amaka smiled. I'm looking, my baby. But in a split second, everything changed. Zoe ran toward the road, fast, too fast. Zoe, stop! Amaka shouted. But children don't understand danger, not until it's too late. A car was coming, speeding, too close. People screamed, hey, watch out! Amaka dropped everything. Her heart exploded with fear. Zoe! The car screeched, tires dragged, dust rose, and then silence. Amaka ran, faster than she had ever run in her life. Her legs didn't feel the ground, her chest didn't feel air. She reached the road and saw her daughter, alive, frozen, just inches away from the car. Amaka grabbed her immediately, held her tightly. My baby, my baby. She checked her frantically. You're okay, you're okay. Tears streamed down her face. Her whole body shook. Then she looked up at the driver and her world stopped. Him, Emeka, standing there, frozen, eyes wide, shocked. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Time paused. 3 years of pain, 3 years of silence, 3 years of unanswered questions all stood between them. Amaka's eyes changed from fear to recognition to anger. Deep, cold, unforgiving anger. She said nothing, just carried her child, turned and walked away like he was nothing. Amaka, Emeka called. She didn't stop. Amaka, wait! Still, she didn't turn. That silence hurt more than any insult. He followed her back to her fruit shop. She placed Zoe down gently, adjusted her fruits, acted like nothing happened, like he didn't exist. Amaka, please, Emeka said, his voice breaking slightly. No response. I've been looking for you. Nothing. I need to explain. I don't want to hear it. Her voice was calm, but deadly. Emeka paused. I know you're angry. Angry? She laughed bitterly. You think this is anger? She turned to face him. Her eyes were no longer the eyes he remembered. They were stronger, harder. This, she said slowly, is the result of your silence. Emeka swallowed. I didn't abandon you. You disappeared. Her words were sharp, precise, final. I went to your house, she continued. I waited. I asked. I cried. Her voice cracked slightly, but she didn't stop. You were gone. Emeka stepped closer. I was trying to. I don't care. Silence. I don't care what you were trying to do, she continued, because while you were trying, her voice broke. I was suffering. That word hung in the air, heavy, painful. I slept outside, she said. I walked with pregnancy. I begged. I starved. Tears rolled down her cheeks. And you? She looked at him from head to toe. His clean clothes, his expensive watch, his car. You were becoming this. Emeka had no words, because for the first time he saw it, not just her pain, but the cost of his decision. Please, he said softly, just listen to me. Amaka shook her head. No, she turned away. And just like that, she ended the conversation. But Emeka didn't leave. Not that day, not the next. He kept coming, standing by her shop, watching, waiting, hoping. Day after day. Amaka, please, no answer. I'm sorry, silence. Just one chance, nothing. Until one day, everything shifted. Zoe tugged at Amaka's wrapper. Mommy, Amaka looked down. Yes, my baby. Zoe pointed at Emeka, who stood nearby. Mommy, who is that man that always comes to our shop? The question was simple, but it hit like a storm. Amaka froze. Her heart raced. Her mind spun. What do I say? She looked at Emeka, then at Zoe, then back at Emeka. He was about to leave, head down, defeated, but something inside her shifted. Wait, she called. Emeka stopped instantly, turned, hope flickering in his eyes. Come back. And for the first time, after years of silence, they were about to finally talk. Wait. That single word was the first bridge between two broken people. Emeka stopped immediately, like a man who had been drowning and suddenly saw land. Slowly, he turned around, his heart pounding, his hands slightly shaking. Amaka stood beside her fruit stand, Zoe holding her wrapper gently. The same place where she had built her life from nothing. The same place where he had been rejected over and over again. Come back, she said again. This time, softer. Emeka walked toward her carefully, not with pride, not with confidence, but with caution. Like someone approaching something fragile, something he had already broken once. Sit, Amaka said, pointing to a small wooden bench beside her shop. That bench had seen her tears, her struggles, her silent prayers. Now it would witness the truth. They both sat. A small space between them, but a very large history. Zoe watched quietly, curious, innocent, unaware that her life was about to change. Amaka took a deep breath, her fingers trembling slightly. Talk, she said. That was all Emeka needed. He exhaled deeply, like he had been holding his breath for years. I didn't run away from you, he began. Amaka didn't respond, but her eyes stayed on him, sharp, listening. I know that's what it looked like, he continued. And I know I deserve your anger. He paused, struggling to find the right words. But I left because I was afraid. Amaka frowned slightly. Afraid, she repeated. Emeka nodded slowly. Yes, not of you, not of the baby. He looked down, ashamed. I was afraid of being poor forever. Silence. I looked at your life, your mother's life, and I saw suffering, he said. I didn't want that for our child. Amaka's expression didn't change, but something inside her began to shift. I didn't want to be another man who raises his child in hardship, Emeka continued. I didn't want our baby to grow up like we did, struggling, begging, surviving. His voice cracked slightly. So I left. Amaka's jaw tightened. You left without telling me? Emeka nodded. Yes. Why? Her voice rose slightly. Why didn't you just tell me? Because I knew you wouldn't understand, he said quickly. That answer hit her hard. I thought if I told you I was leaving, you would think I was abandoning you, he continued. And if I stayed, we would both remain stuck. Amaka laughed bitterly. And now, what do you think I believed? Emeka had no answer, because the truth was already written on her face. You became exactly what my father was, she said quietly. That sentence, it broke something inside him. I know, he whispered. Tears formed in his eyes. I swear to you, every single day I was gone, I thought about you. Amaka looked away. I walked, he continued, day and night. I suffered too. I slept in places you wouldn't imagine. He lifted his hand slightly. All this, he said, referring to his clothes, his car, his presence, it didn't come easy. Amaka's eyes softened slightly, but the pain was still there. I did it for you, he said, for our child. Silence. Then Amaka spoke, slowly, carefully. Do you know what I went through? Emeka closed his eyes briefly. I can imagine. No, she cut in. I can't. Her voice trembled. My mother threw me out. Emeka's eyes snapped open. I slept outside. I walked with pregnancy. I begged people to help me. I cried myself to sleep every night. Each word was heavy, painful, and real. I gave birth on the street, she said. Emeka's breath caught. Alone. Tears streamed down his face now. I raised her alone, Amaka continued. I built everything you see here, alone. She looked directly into his eyes. So don't tell me you did this for me. Silence fell again. This time, deeper.
Emeka lowered his head, completely broken. I'm sorry, he said. Not loudly, not dramatically, just honestly. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry you suffered. I'm sorry I made you feel abandoned. His voice cracked. I thought I was doing the right thing. He looked at Zoe, but I did it the wrong way. Zoe stared back at him, curious, still trying to understand. Amaka followed his gaze. That little girl, the reason for everything, the pain, the struggle, the survival, and now the decision. Amaka closed her eyes briefly, then opened them. You hurt me, she said softly. I know. You broke me. I know. You left me when I needed you the most. I know. Silence. Then Amaka's voice changed. But Emeka looked up quickly, hope flickering again. I also see what you've become. She looked around at his car, his presence, his effort. You didn't forget us? Emeka shook his head immediately. Never. Amaka swallowed hard. And I'm tired, she whispered. That word carried years of weight. Tired of pain, tired of anger, tired of carrying everything alone. Tears rolled down her cheeks again. So, she paused. I forgive you. Time stopped. Emeka blinked, like he didn't hear properly. You what? I forgive you, she repeated. And just like that, the past loosened its grip. Emeka broke down completely. Tears, relief, gratitude. Thank you, he whispered. Zoe looked between them, confused. Mommy, who is he? Amaka looked at her daughter, then at Emeka, then back at Zoe. Her voice was soft but full. He is your father. Zoe's eyes widened. My daddy? Emeka's heart melted instantly. He knelt down slowly. Yes. Zoe hesitated for a second, then smiled. Daddy! She ran into his arms, and in that moment, everything came full circle. But life wasn't done yet. Let's go and see your mother, Emeka said gently later that day. Amaka's heart skipped. Hope, fear, regret. They went together, but when they arrived, the neighbor stepped out. Her face said everything. She's gone. Amaka froze. No! She died a few months ago. The world blurred again. Amaka fell to her knees. Mama, tears flowed uncontrollably. I wanted to come back. I wanted to tell you. I wanted you to see. But it was too late. They took her to the grave. Amaka stood there, holding Zoe, with Emeka beside her. I'm sorry, Mama, she cried. I forgive you. I hope you forgive me too. The wind blew softly, like a quiet response. And finally, Amaka found peace. Months later, they left the community, moved to the city. A new house, a new life, a new beginning. Zoe went to a good school. Amaka lived comfortably. Emeka kept his promise. But more importantly, they had each other. And this time, no one was leaving. Because love is not just about promises. It's about staying. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this beautiful story. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful and emotional story. Your support means everything. God bless you.